The most powerful man in England did not meet his end beneath a banner or on a battlefield. King John of England did not fall to a sword, an arrow, or an assassin's hand. He died slowly, in unbearable pain, imprisoned within a body that had begun to rot while he still lived. His screams echoed through stone walls, his chamber filled with a stench so overwhelming that even men sworn to heal him fled in disgust. This was not folklore or exaggeration. Medieval chroniclers recorded it with grim detail. In October of 1216, England's king suffered one of the most horrifying deaths ever endured by a ruler, brought about not by fate alone, but by pride, excess, and a lifetime of cruelty. John had never been expected to rule. As the youngest son of Henry II and Eleanor of Aquitaine, he grew up in the shadow of powerful brothers who governed lands, led armies, and earned reputations as warriors and leaders. John had none of that. He was given no territory, no command, no preparation for kingship. Even his father mocked him, calling him Lackland, a name that followed him into adulthood and fed a deep insecurity. When Richard the Lionheart died in 1199 without a legitimate heir, John seized the throne through political maneuvering rather than popular support. He inherited a kingdom exhausted by war and crusades, drowning in debt, and desperate for stability. Instead, it received a ruler whose fear and resentment shaped every decision he made. John's failures came quickly. Through incompetence and poor judgment, he lost nearly all of England's French territories to King Philip II of France. Normandy, long the foundation of English power abroad, was gone. The loss humiliated John deeply, and humiliation turned into bitterness. Rather than accept responsibility, he lashed out. At home, he ruled through intimidation and punishment. He imposed crushing taxes without consent, seized lands on flimsy legal pretexts, and imprisoned rivals without trial. Nobles learned that loyalty meant nothing and obedience offered no protection. Fear became the foundation of his rule. Rumors spread that John had ordered the death of his nephew, Arthur of Brittany, a young boy whose claim to the throne threatened John's legitimacy. Whether John personally murdered the child or simply allowed him to disappear, the belief that he was capable of such an act destroyed any remaining trust. Even medieval standards of kingship recoiled at the idea of a king who would eliminate his own blood. The church soon became his enemy as well. When John defied the Pope's appointment for Archbishop of Canterbury, England was placed under papal interdiction. Churches were closed. Marriages were forbidden. The dead went unburied. For years, England lived without the rights that structured medieval life. John responded not with repentance, but with greed, seizing church lands and revenues for himself. To many, it seemed undeniable proof that God had withdrawn his favor from the king. By 1215, rebellion was inevitable. The barons forced John to meet them at Runnymede, where he was compelled to sign the Magna Carta, a document that limited royal power and affirmed that even a king was subject to law. It was the greatest humiliation of his reign. John signed it, then immediately sought to undo it, convincing the Pope to annul the charter. Civil war followed. Rebel barons invited Prince Louis of France to invade and claim the English throne. England descended into chaos. By 1216, John was fighting a war he could not win. He marched constantly, chasing enemies he could not defeat, sleeping little, eating irregularly, and driving himself to physical collapse. Medieval armies lived in filth. Human waste contaminated water sources. Disease was inevitable. Somewhere during this exhausting campaign, John fell ill. He developed severe abdominal pain and relentless diarrhea. At first, it was dismissed as a common sickness, an inconvenience rather than a threat. That assumption would prove fatal. John had contracted severe dysentery, a bacterial infection that inflames and destroys the intestines. His body lost fluids faster than they could be replaced. Fever burned through him. Blood appeared in his stool. His strength vanished day by day as his body failed to absorb nutrients. Yet John refused to rest. A sick king was believed to be a cursed king, abandoned by God, and John could not afford that perception while rebellion threatened his crown. So he continued onward, pretending strength while his body starved from within. On October 12, John reached Bishop's Lynn in Norfolk, barely able to remain upright. Any rational ruler would have gone straight to bed. Instead, John ordered a feast. Rich meats, heavy sauces, wine, and excess filled the table. These were precisely the foods his inflamed intestines could not tolerate. Witnesses described him eating aggressively, almost desperately, as if consuming food could prove his vitality. No one dared challenge him. To question the king was dangerous, even as he doomed himself. That night, his body finally gave way. His intestines, weakened by infection and strained by excess, ruptured. Waste spilled into his abdominal cavity, triggering peritonitis, a catastrophic infection that no medieval physician could treat. The pain was immediate and unimaginable. John screamed as servants rushed to his chamber, finding him clutching his grotesquely swollen abdomen, unable to lie still, writhing in agony. Over the next days, his condition descended into horror. Infection flooded his bloodstream, leading to sepsis. Fever burned him alive, then left him shivering uncontrollably. His abdomen bloated as fluid and gas accumulated inside. His organs began to fail one by one. The dysentery continued relentlessly. He lay soaked in his own waste, unable to control his body. Servants burned bedding and clothing as quickly as they could, but the contamination never stopped. The smell became unbearable. Even physicians accustomed to plague and battlefield wounds could not endure it. One by one, they fled the chamber, leaving the king to suffer with only his attendants. By October 17, John was clearly dying. His kidneys failed, toxins flooded his blood, and his mind drifted in and out of consciousness. Seizures racked his body. His hands and feet darkened as circulation failed. His breathing became irregular, marked by long pauses followed by desperate gasps for air. On the night of October 18, John briefly regained awareness. Whether he prayed, confessed, or simply understood his fate remains unclear. What is certain is that he knew he was dying slowly, painfully, and without dignity. Just after midnight on October 19, 1216, King John of England died. His heart, exhausted by infection and suffering, finally stopped. Death did not bring peace. His body decomposed rapidly, bloated by internal contamination. Those tasked with preparing him for burial struggled to endure the stench. Incense burned constantly. Some workers vomited. Others refused to continue. Even in death, John inspired revulsion. When news spread across England, there was no mourning. There was relief. The tyrant was gone. His 9-year-old son, Henry III, was crowned soon after. Peace was made. The Magna Carta was reissued and preserved. The document John despised became the foundation of English law and constitutional government. In the end, John's legacy was not his power, his wealth, or his crown, but his failure. His tyranny was so complete that it forced limits on royal authority. His death became a warning etched into history. John believed himself untouchable. His crown did not save him. His power did not protect him. His